So hello everyone, I hope you are well. Okay. So in this video, we are going to talk about JavaScript local variable. Okay. So in previous video, we have discussed about what is the JavaScript variables. Okay. So variables are containers. Okay, that contains the values or information. Okay. And we have discussed that how many types of JavaScript variables. So mainly we have discussed two types: local variables and global variables. Okay, and then we have already discussed that how to define the variables. Okay, in JavaScript, which keyword we use to declare the variables. Okay, that we use where keyword, let keyword, constant keyword to declare and define the variables. Okay, and there is a term I am using, declare and define. So in the previous video we have already discussed that what is the declaration and what is the definition of the variable. Okay, so if you have any doubts, any confusion, so you can watch that video, previous video. Okay, and then you can look this video. Okay, or if you are aware about that, then you can directly watch that video. Okay, so let's start this local variables. Okay, so what is the local variables? So here we have given a definition. Okay, that local variables we declare and define inside a function or a block. Okay, means local variable scope will be a function scope or block level scope. Function level scope means inside the function you have written that variable cannot used outside of the function. Okay, and if you have defined the block in the block inside the block, so you cannot use that variable of outside of the blog. Okay, so we'll discuss in this video and more. Okay, so you can understand here first what is definition, that local variables we declare and define inside a function or inside a block. Okay, curly braces. Okay, block means curly braces. Whatever variable you are going to declare inside the curly braces, that cannot be used outside of that curly braces. Okay, and then second point is local variables are not accessible outside of the function or blocks. That we have discussed that that local variables cannot access out of the function. Okay, means that local variable scope will be function level scope, and block level variable scope will be the block level. Okay, and so that we have mentioned local variables are not accessible outside of a function or blocks, and the local variables are deleted once function execution is completed. Okay, so what is the function level execution means that we will discuss in the later video, that how to execute function, what the memory location, initialize to function or variables. In that video you can understand. Okay, but for now, once the function execution is completed by the Java virtual machine, okay, so there is no further needed. Okay, so that JavaScript garbage collector will be remove that function. Okay, in the stack area, and then uh, what will happen inside the code which we written in the function. So function is deleted, so all code will be automatically deleted. So inside that function we have written the variables, logics, and whatever the things we have written, so that will all will be deleted. Okay, by the JavaScript garbage collector, because we are not using anymore. Okay, so that speed will be faster, memory allocation, memory would be free, so that on other functions variable can initialize in the stack and accessed by the Java virtual machine easily. Okay, so that the garbage collector is and the main role play to delete the functions or variables. The main who is the responsible? The garbage collector is responsible. JavaScript garbage collector is responsible to delete the functions or variables whatever we are not using in that next code. Okay, so that is definition. What is the local variable? Local variable we declare the and define inside the function. Okay, and block level. Okay, local variable are not accessible outside of the function or blocks. Okay, and then local variable are deleted once function execution is completed. Okay, and who is responsible to delete local variables or functions? That is a JavaScript garbage collector. That is a name or indigo or something else. Okay, and then we have tried to understand which example. Okay, that is the function level, what is the function level scope, and what is the block level scope. So here we have defined a function. Okay, so and that function is calling here. So that function we have defined here, we are calling the function. Okay, and here we are defining declaring the function and defining the function. Okay, so here function and is sum, and then we have define the variable local variable, and let number 1 is equal to 10, let number 2 is equal to 10, and then we are trying to add number 1 and number 2. Okay, and then we are trying to print that value. Okay, so how can we understand that is a local variable? So what is the function scope? Function is start from this curly braces and this curly braces. Okay, so inside that whatever we have declared that variable, we cannot access outside of this function, means we cannot access here. Okay, so we will run and then we can understand it. So let's go to the console and then we can understand. Okay, yeah, so suppose here what we are doing. So suppose we have written the sum function we are calling here, and we are defining. Let's increase font size. Okay, so let's increase the sum font size so we can see clearly. Okay, so we are defining, we are calling the function here, and we are declaring and defining the function here, function sum, and inside that function block, inside that start from here and end here, we are using the variables. So that is a local variable. Okay, and that variable number 1, number 2 add cannot be accessed outside of this function, means outside of this function, means outside of this curly braces. Okay, so now let's run. Okay, and then what will we go to? So you can here see that calling the function, then this function will be called, and then output will be number 1, number 2 will be initialized, and inside the add variable, the 10, 10 plus 20 will be assigned, and then add we are trying to print here. So some value is 20. Okay, now let's understand that how is local. Okay, so we have defined the number 1, number 2 inside the function scope. Okay, so now try to get, okay, uh, outside of the function. Okay, let's console as well, console.log, and we are trying to access number 1. Okay, number 1. So what we are getting, uncaught reference number 1 is not defined. Message is getting number 1 is not defined, means the JavaScript controller, execution controller is not understanding what is the number 1. Okay, because we have defined the number 1 inside the sum function. Okay, so that is the so that is indicating what is that is the local variable. Okay, and if suppose we declare this variable outside, okay, if suppose we declare the variable, let be number 1 equal to 50. Okay, and then we are trying to console.log number 1 plus NVIDIA number 1. So what value we have sorry, what value we have assigned here? Number 1 is equal to 20, and we are trying to access inside the function. So 10 and 10, that is printing 22, because that is the local variable and we can access inside the function. Okay, but we cannot access number 1 number 2 at outside of the function. Okay, so we have tried to access number 1, so we got error. Now we have declared the number 1. Okay, and number 1 is equal to 50, and now let's, so what will be the value? Number 1 is equal to 50 or number 1 is equal to 10? No, number 1 is equal to 50 would be output, because number 1, the local sum inside the function which we have declared, number 1 is not accessible outside, but we have defined the global number 1 global. Okay, GLOB. No, no, you can confuse. No? So here, let's execute first. So what we are getting? Number 1 is equal to 50. The above line we are getting number 1 is not defined, but here how can this success? Because we have declared the number 1 outside the scope, outside the function. Okay, so that is the accessible. Okay, so number 1 is equal to 50. So you can understand that what is difference between the local variable and function level scope and outside of the function level scope. Okay, so you can understand here. Okay, now let's delete all things. Okay, and try to define the block level. So in that definition we have mentioned that in the definition here, local variables can be defined inside the function or inside the block. Okay, so we have already discussed that inside the function how to declare and what is the access. Okay, and then block level scope inside the block. So let's, we have defined here the block is start from here and let number 1 equal to 2, and we are trying to print the console. Okay, so now I execute this one. So what will be output? You can see number 1 is equal to 2. Okay, and suppose we are trying to access number 1 outside of the scope. Number 1 so what will be output? This will be executed, but we will get error from here. Okay, so okay. Okay. So why we are getting the number 1 equal to 2 and number 1 equal to 50? We have already defined at global level number 1. You can in the previously that number 1 is equal to 50 we have already assigned. Okay, so that we are getting. So let's understand with different example. Okay, so here suppose here we are defining name. Okay, name contains my pet dog is Ramlal. Okay, and that name we are trying to access locally block level, and the name we are trying to access outside the block. Okay, so then what will happen? Let's take what will happen. This will print correctly, but what will here? It will generate error because the name is not accessible. The name is defined, declared and defined inside the block level. Okay, and block level scope cannot be accessed outside of the block. That is means indicating that is the local declaration, local definition. Okay, so that is the local variable. Name is local variable. Now let's execute this. So you can see here name, here name value. What is name? My pet dog is Ramlal. So print here my pet dog is Ramlal, but here the name is getting, name is not defined at 5 line 22, means name is not accessible to outside. So that is the difference between local and global. Okay, and if might be some confusion. Okay, so let's discuss. So here some. Okay, and then here we are declaring the number 2 is equal to 70. Okay, and then we are trying to access number 2. Okay, outside of the function. Okay, so here number 2. Okay, control C. Now let's delete. Okay, and now enter. So now once we have executed. Okay, so number one is the local variable, number two is the local variable because you have declared inside the function. Then add number one, number two. 10 plus 70 is equal to 80. So some value is 80, but this is not printed. Console.log number 2, number 2, because here we are getting number 2 is not defined because we cannot access outside of the function. So that is describing that is the local variable. So if that's all related to local variable and local variables. Okay, so if you would have any doubt, any confusion, or if you have any suggestions, so you can add in the comment, and if that video is helpful for you, so you can like. Okay, so thank you very much.